Hello my Mercurial mercenaries, another one of my videos that I do in between filming the Discovers. Those Discovers, they take a fair bit of time, honestly. The last video I did, that was a bit controversial, wasn't it? My Tame Impala video. That was a video where I suggested that the modern band's live performance might not be so different from the record, from the studio experience. It kind of dates back really to when I was a kid at school. One of my mates, he bought I think it was an Eric Clapton album. It was a live Eric Clapton album. It might have even been unplugged. But whatever it was, he returned it to the shop. I said, why did you do that? And he said, it was just weird. It was just too noisy. People were like clapping and cheering over the top of it. And it all sounded a little bit sloppy. And I was like, you do realise that that is the live experience. It's off the cuff and it's got emotion and crowd participation. And he was like, no, I want things to sound, I like the way albums sound. And then I realised that there is a difference between your average member of the human race who listens to music and a music fan. A music fan will often enjoy a live album because it sounds completely different to the studio. But your average music fan will often judge the quality of a live album by how close it sounds to a studio album. Do you find that? Someone will go, yeah, it was really good. It sounded just like the studio. And when someone says that, you think, great. Anyway, the next controversial subject is an article I stumbled upon 2 days ago now. And I thought I must talk about this because it annoyed me a little bit. Now, I haven't fully read this article, but it came up on my phone. And the title is Mac Demarco and the Artistic Slouch. Has slack rock come to an end? This is in the Guardian newspaper, right? The byline, the subheading. When women have to put in twice the work to get half the recognition, the alt rock archetype loses its appeal. Modern toss on slacker rock, written by Leonie Cooper, Friday the 12th of April. Let's just read through this article together because I had a cursory glance at it and it annoyed me a little. I'm a little unsure about this one. Let's just start off with the title, okay? It's specifically mentioning Mac Demarco. Then I've got a bit of an issue there. You know, guys, that I've now listened to all the main albums by Mac Demarco, and you know that I think this guy is absolutely great. He's a phenomenon. Yes, you guys have been there before me. It's probably old school nonsense to you now, but to me, it's a recent kind of acquisition into my life. And I find him impressive. But yes, he's a man. How dare he be a man? When women have to put in twice the work to get half the recognition. Now, some of you have commented on my videos, on my Discover series. Please do more women. Please do more women. And yeah, there is an argument there. Because when I look through the 72 albums now, soon to be 73, there's a little clue in the room somewhere. Yeah, Melody's Echo Chamber. Look, historically, I've got to admit that most of the bands that I like are male. There was Elastica and Sleeper, Garbage, Republica. There have been Blondie. There have been female bands or female fronted bands that I've liked. And when it comes to female solo singers, Kylie and Madonna and whatever, I love them. Let's just read that little byline again. When women have to put in twice the work to get half the recognition. When I think of current successful pop stars, this headline is suggesting that I'm going to struggle to think of any females. But I'm thinking of like Ariana Grande, Beyoncé, Adele, Katy Perry. I mean, I can think of some. It's not a problem. They do trip off the tongue. Let's read the article and see what the spin is here. The The stereotype of the slacker dude. Isn't that spelt wrong? The stereotype of the slacker dude has been a staple of US alt-rock since the early 90s. A movement epitomised by Douglas Copeland's Generation X, Pavement, Richard Linklater's Slacker, and Apathy's anthem, Loser by Beck. See? So yeah, okay, we're talking about the early 90s there. Fine. Fine, okay. Slacker dude, stereotypes, yeah. Back then it was endearing. A lazy FU to the overblown Guns N' Roses and the earnest Pearl Jam. Yet a quarter of a century later, it's an ironic approach that no longer sits entirely right. I would suggest that there has always been slacker rock. Look at it this way, right? For every intricate, finicky, schooled, educated band, for every Genesis or Pink Floyd or Radiohead, there has always been the other side of that coin. It didn't have to just be punk. Slacker. The idea of music just happening and you're a kind of vessel that just allows music to flow out of you naturally to the point where other people who have to work at it envy you. That's what I kind of got from Loser by Beck. I remember dancing to Loser by Beck in the 90s. I'm a loser, baby, so why don't you kill me? I also think that when people hear what they consider to be slacker music and they think that probably not a lot of effort has gone into making it, into creating it, sometimes I think to create music that truly sounds like it took no effort often takes a lot of effort. Music is an industry where women constantly have to put in twice the work in order to get half the recognition. See Beck winning Best Album at the 2015 Grammys over Beyoncé's self-titled multimedia odyssey. All right. Now, it's like a minefield talking about this kind of thing. This is a woman writing this article, okay? And this woman obviously has a point of view here. She feels that Beyoncé's self-titled multimedia odyssey is a matter of fact better than Beck's album from 2015. Now, okay, hands up. I haven't heard Beck's album or Beyoncé's album, but Beck won the best album. That means that there are people out there who believe Beck's album is better than Beyoncé's album. And art is completely subjective. So someone had to make a choice. Now, this writer is angry that a man won it over a woman. And I suppose she feels that Beck won it purely because he's a man and not because people liked his album. Slacker's slouchy attitude also seems at odds with that of the hyper-productive, hyper-politicised younger generations consuming it for the first time. Slacker's slouchy attitude also seems at odds with that of the hyper-productive, hyper-politicised younger generations consuming it for the first time. So we're talking about there's kids out there now who watch this channel who adore the likes of King Giz and Tame Impala, MGMT. And this is suggesting that because these kids are hyper-productive, hyper-politicised, I suppose we're talking about the Me Too movement, that kind of thing, that they wouldn't enjoy someone sounding like music is easy, like music is a distraction from the stress that can be the modern world. That when I feel stressed myself, that I might like to listen to a bloke who's creating music sat by a lake. So it's wrong, is it, for me to listen to music that isn't angsty and politicised? It's like I should be listening to the Manic Street Preachers' Holy Bible album every day. I shouldn't be listening to someone just talking about love and loss in a wistful way, beer in hand. So much so that even its godfathers are drifting from their origins. Pavement singer Stephen Malkmus, his new record, Groove Denied, is an electronic album that sounds like soft cell, gently frotting craft work. See, she's used a word there. I'm not sure what that means, but it's probably a word. Is frotting a word? Probably. Well, what do I know? Frotting. Rubbing two penises together for sexual pleasure. Lovely. Thanks for that, Leonie. In a recent interview in Q, the Lemonheads' Evan Dando was more interested in promoting his paintings in his new covers album. What kind of evidence for anything is that? In a recent interview in Q, the Lemonheads' Evan Dando was more interested in promoting his paintings in his new covers album. I mean, what's the response to that? Good on him. Good on him. What an interesting little pick of all the randomness in the world that you could use to prove a point. Evan Dando with the Lemonheads has already made an impact on the world with his music. Now he's painting pictures. Oh, which one shall I promote? My covers album or my paintings? I don't know. I'm not quite sure about what that really means, to be honest. Then there is the curious backlash against Mac Demarco. No, right, I've got to say right now, I wasn't aware of a backlash against him. I don't personally know, other than you guys who watch this channel, I don't personally know anyone who even knows who Mac Demarco is. And when we're talking about women having to put in twice the work to get half the recognition, and then we've got Mac Demarco, the main feature of this article, Mac Demarco, who doesn't feature in the top 10, streaming artists of 2018. Do you know what I mean? The Spotify Global 200. Rihanna's there. Ariana Grande's there. Mac Demarco isn't there. I didn't realise there was I'm jumping on board with someone who there's already a backlash against. Brilliant. That makes me like him even more. Is that good? It's bad? Good? Bad? Ugly? Who could hate on the professionally adorable Demarco with his gap-toothed smile, sassy way with dungarees, and fondness for shoving drumsticks up his anus like G.G. Allen, guest starring in The Simpsons? Yeah, you guys did tell me that he stuck some drumsticks up his arse. Apparently that was one of the songs on one of the albums was about that, wasn't it? Well, quite a few people actually. Demarco recently announced his new album, Here Comes the Cowboy, and lead single, Nobody, which I liked, if you remember. The news quickly started trending, and not in a good way, as an outraged indie Twitter noted that fellow alt-rock darling Mitski had already released an album with the ever so familiar title Be the Cowboy only last year. Also with a single called, yep, Nobody. Okay, now let's consider this. Is this interesting? Right. Hands up again right now. I don't know who Mitski is. But Mac Demarco releases an album called Here Comes the Cowboy. And Mitski has already released an album called Be the Cowboy. Okay. And Mac Demarco's lead single is Nobody. And Mitski's lead single was called Nobody. Now, that is a coincidence. That is a coincidence. Does it matter? Am I missing something here? Am I missing something here? Demarco was soon painted as a very bad cowboy indeed. The kind who stomps into town wearing black snakeskin boots and likes to interrupt women by repeating something they said 5 minutes ago. Only louder. Right. So this is taken as a slight against women because Mitski came out with an album called Be the Cowboy and had a single called Nobody. And then a man has come in afterwards with an album called something about a cowboy and a single called Nobody. So he's trying to delete Mitski from history by overriding her single with his single. Mitski didn't seem to mind, crediting the collective unconsciousness. Kevin Parker, you've written a song called Borderline. Do you realise that Madonna wrote a song called Borderline? You're a man. She's a woman. Are you trying to erase her from history? Demarco, in typically slacker style, claims he hadn't even heard the record. How condescending, patronising is this? Mercurial number 6, you've written a song called Little Red Microphone. Do you realise that a female musician last year called Sarah wrote a song called Little Red Microphone? Are you trying to delete her from history? My answer, I haven't even heard Sarah's record Little Red Microphone. By saying that, I'm saying that in a typically slacker style. I mean, it's perfectly reasonable for Mac Demarco not to have heard Mitski's record, isn't it? Or am I behind the times here? This happens so often. Coldplay were accused by Joe Satriani of stealing his song, his melody. And Coldplay, and it did sound similar. I've done a video on it. And Coldplay said, that's fine, but we've never listened to any Joe Satriani. And I believed them. You only have to look at Coldplay for 5 seconds to think, do you know what? I don't think Chris Martin is really a Joe Satriani fan. I mean, it's just by accident. It can happen by accident. It doesn't have to be pitted as a man versus woman thing here. What a strange basis to write an article on. If now is the time for musicians to behave as if they actually care, then Courtney Barnett, one of the lone female voices of the millennial slacker sound, who doesn't simply dial in sunny apathy like her male counterparts, could be the genre's saviour. Who doesn't simply dial in sunny apathy like her male counterparts. How sexist is that? She manages to make songs that wallow in a post-grunge malaise, but her lyrics, touching on male violence against women and online abuse on her last album, Tell Me How You Really Feel, remain meaningful, galvanising even. Perhaps the summer of slacker isn't over just yet. I'm confused with this kind of article. I think it's an article that didn't need to be written. The basis of this seems to be women have to work twice as hard as men in the music world to get anywhere. That's arguable. I think it's probably true in a lot of genres. I mean, heavy metal isn't rife with women. Rock music in general isn't rife with women. But they're there. I mean, music's a hard business, full stop, for anybody. You know, oh, it's easier for you because you're a man. It's easier if you write a good song. The suggestion seems to be here that men have had it easy, coasting with sunny apathy. But there's a whole world of people out there who want, I said it earlier, but who want sunny apathy to counter the stress of the world. I'm one of those people that when I feel down, I quite like to put a down album on because down plus down sort of cancels each other out. You can listen to a happy album when you're feeling down. But the idea that music has to constantly be making some big statement, that music has to be touching on male violence against women and online abuse. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But not everyone has to be Bono or Richie Edwards. I think art is best when it's spoken from the heart, spoken from experience. I would not necessarily expect the people that I've listened to historically to be talking about male violence against women and online abuse. I think you should be talking about male violence against women and online abuse if you've experienced male violence against women and online abuse. And if you want to write a song about splitting up with your girlfriend, that's your prerogative. People don't have to buy it. Mac Demarco and the artistic slouch. Has slack rock come to an end? I don't even know if we can truly define. I've never really thought about slack rock. I mean, we've been mentioning like Mac Demarco and Beck here. When we talk about slack rock, is it just art? Is it art? Are we talking about artists who just sound like they don't really care? Because just be aware that some of the artists who sound like they don't care naturally in their music are some of the hardest working people out there. How can you have a slack in the negative sense? How can you have a slack rocker who works his ass off to get where he is? I want to hear your comments down below. This might end up being as controversial as my last video, but I'm probably going to film a Discover in a second, so wish me luck. Those videos take ages to make and produce, all right? Thank you. Like I said, comment below. Comment below. What do you think to this? Over and